Hello, my name is Yvonne. Friends call me Eve. I'm from Germany. I'm a business consultant, a combination of coaching and business, coaching and consulting. And I'm honestly excited to play Bond Blitz now. So let's start. What's a question you've always wanted to ask someone but never had the courage to? We're starting off strong, man. What's a question you've always wanted to ask but never had the courage to? To be honest, I started asking those questions just the last couple of years. I don't hold back because I'm too curious. I want to learn. So I hardly can say that there's one question I always wanted to ask someone. I can share the last experience where I was too shy to ask, first of all, in public. It was yesterday. I was visiting the Mosque of Jumeirah, and I had a little tour about the mosque and the traditions of the Muslims, and I was afraid to ask in public to learn more about the Emirate culture and women and male in specific, if they pray together, if that's allowed. And I was asking afterwards, so I found my way to find the courage to ask that question, and it was a very interesting and surprising answer, because male and female are allowed to pray together. In the mosque, they usually have a separate room or a separate area, that's what I understood, so that they're avoiding close contact. But there's no rule that they are not able to pray together. Let's move on. What's a strength you've discovered in yourself through adversity? A strength I recently discovered in myself through challenges is, I think I didn't discover it recently fully, but in a very different aspect and perspective, is my strength to grow and my strength to overcome and to use challenges and situations and hard times to grow even further. So a beautiful mentor of mine just said, it's not the problem which is like becoming smaller, it's just you becoming more powerful to handle the problem or the challenge, so it appears smaller. So I think that's the strengths I discovered in myself, that I was growing so much and I keep on growing, that big problems 2 years ago are just like something, an obstacle on the road to overcome easily. There are so many. Let's go for the next. What's a moment in your life that felt like a turning point for you? I can easily and clearly answer that because it's the biggest turning point in my life ever. And there are some. So I love to do that activity with my clients, by the way, as well, seeing like what have been the turning points in your life to become the person you are nowadays. So one big turning point for me to become the person I am currently and I'm becoming is back 7 years ago when I had a ski accident while skiing. Someone didn't see me, okay? I'm short, I get that point, but the person was just overseeing me and crashed into me. I was falling down. I broke my sacrum, which is a little bone with it, which is combining the hip and the spiral. And it's a very awful thing you can do to your body. So it was forcing me to slow down from 100% to 0% and just lie down for 3 months and let the bone heal. And then all the complications afterwards, a lot of nerves are going through that area, so it was a disaster. So basically, it was the time for me to sit back, to reflect, and to reconsider what's really important to me and how do I want my life to be. So that was the point where everything changed in my life. I think that's the biggest and turning point I feel so far. So what's next? Ooh, 2. Okay, let's start with 1. What's a moment in your life where you felt truly seen by someone? Oh my God, I love those questions. I get goosebumps, actually. What's a moment in your life where you felt truly seen by someone? There's so many moments. I can remember just the last couple of days. But just today in the morning, I had a very beautiful session with a client in the desert, and her feedback was amazing, and the words of appreciation and the words of feedback she was sharing with me, she was pointing out new things in me which I haven't been aware in that level. So that was, she was seeing something in me before we were working together and even afterwards, which I had a sense, an idea of, but no words to it. So that was a magical moment, and I'm forever grateful and thankful for that client and person showing up in my life, pointing out the magic of creating experiences and holding space and just easily initiate transformation in a person's life through modeling, through just being, through just share perspectives. So I hope the other one is not as tough, as deep. How do you approach solving a problem that feels unsurmountable? That's a beautiful word, but really hard to pronounce. How do you approach solving a problem? I think there are 2 answers to that. It depends how big this problem is. I have the tendency and the pattern that if the problem is feeling too big to conquer, that I might go into a free state, that I cannot move, and that I really go into a hermit mode where I hardly speak to people and where I just be with myself and sit with it. Being who I am and learning who I am, I just learned that it's, once I realize I'm in the hermit mode, I'm reaching out to people, trained, talented coaches in my life who help me finding solutions to that problem. That's the one thing I do. And the other thing I do is just go with the first feeling. There's always a response or an idea coming up. And if it's a big problem, but not too big that I'm so overwhelmed that I'm in free state, I just go with the flow. I just do the first little step, which feels natural to me, and then I see how it's evolving from there. So 2 ways of tackling that mountains of problem. Okay, 5 more to go. Let's go start with the middle. If you could undo one regret in your life, what would it be and how does it influence you? If you could undo one regret in your life, what would it be and how does it influence you? Oh my God, there are so many. But the good thing is, if I go back in time, now, with the knowledge of now, I would do it differently, but back those days, I would still do the same shit. So, if I could travel back in time and undo one regret in my life, I'm not sure if I would, because I am the person who I am nowadays because of all those things happening. Do I regret some of those decisions? Yes. Do they shape who I am? Yes. Am I happy and proud who I am? Yes. So why do I go back and redo it? But if I have to select one, I think it would be on education. So just recently, I've met somebody in the US, in Boston, who pointed out after hearing my story that I'm a self-made person. So what he meant by that, everything I have today, everything I own, everything I create because of me, out of my knowledge, out of my education, my experience, my money, out of everything by myself. So no family support, no social ecosystem, like no funding, nothing. And if I regret something which I would do differently and it would shape my life nowadays, it would be the piece of how I did my first studies. It was part-time, it was alongside a full-time job because I had to pay it, I had to fund it. So it was tough. It was also very influencing. And back those days, I never made the experience of proper studies and the way of thinking and the network on connections in a traditional university. So I might want to experience that differently. How much would that shape my life? How much easier would it maybe if I go back and do normal studies and probably get like a funding from the state or a loan to complete full-time studies only, and probably fulfill my dream to do those studies abroad, like in the UK or in the US. So, but it's never too late to fulfill those dreams, so it's on my wish list, so who knows? Welcome back to Conversations with Myself. I'm Yvonne Stoffel, your host today. So even myself, we're gonna have a conversation powered by Bond Blitz. Let's go with the next question. This is how it feels like to play that game, actually, having a conversation with myself. So, how do you stay grounded in challenging times? I love that question. It's so funny because it was a lot about grounding in the last couple of days. So, how do you stay grounded in challenging times? I actually love to have little rituals, little things that help me in my day-to-day business and day-to-day life, which are so simple to include into my everyday that I can use them anytime. One of these is just to stay, actually just to be barefoot and just stand on the floor, connect to the floor, and feel the floor underneath my feet. A lot is connected to the senses, feeling the senses. So the way I ground myself is really tuning into my senses. How does it feel in my body? How does it feel in my surrounding? What do I see? What do I look at? But also sometimes just to close my eyes and look into myself. So how do I actually look like from the outside? Visualizing that and center myself. And then obviously breathing very deeply and feel how the breath is going through my whole body, how it's changing how my body feels, feeling where the tensions might be, and just send it to the ground. So that's the way I ground myself. Give myself a little peace and moment of silence, and I can do that whatever I do. Writing an email, I can just breathe and tune in, or when I do some dishwashing, or when I walk, even when I just sit on the beach, or if I wait for somebody at a coffee place, I can easily do that. Just connect with myself, tune in, and visualize how I'm connected to the ground and how I'm rooting into the ground. So I can have this little tool everywhere I go, anytime I go. It can be minutes, it can be seconds, so easy to implement in daily life. Next. Oh, a lovely question. How do you handle disappointment in your relationships? For me, a lot starts with definitions. And relationships is like a big thing, because to me, relationships is friendships, family, and partnership. So it's different aspects. And to be honest, each of those aspects of relationship have different code of honor, frameworks, way of living it, and therefore also different ways of communicating and handling things. So let me pick one example. The friendship relationship. So I'm really proud and grateful, deeply grateful for the level of friendships I created in my life. I curated in the last couple of years. We have such a honest connection, deep connection based on truth, honesty, radical authenticity, safety and trust, that we can bring up everything and anything. It's a safe space with us, and I'm so honored to have friends around me who also can hold their space. They are aware enough, they can also hold space for me so they can deal with it. And even if it's something difficult, they are self-aware enough to also share what this is probably causing for them. So what is that triggering in them, whatever I share. So how do I handle disappointment in friendships is I just burst it out. I just share it, I just express it. I communicate about that, and it doesn't matter if it's a disappointment I feel because of anything outside of that friendship, or if it's something I'm disappointed within that friendship. I can just bring it up and we can work from there. And that's something I'm really proud of, and it's something I'm aware of, that this is super special, but something you can create, because I'm not the person I used to be 20 years ago. Obviously, we are all growing and developing ourselves, but I still have friends from 20 years ago who also changed and evolved. But what's the unique pattern with all my friendships, that we have this deep connection and this commitment for each other, so we can share, and we find a way to handle it because we are committed to each other. Yeah, I think that's it. 2 more left. Okay, let's go for that one. What's one thing you've forgiven yourself for recently? That's a tough one. What's one thing you've forgiven yourself for recently? Very recently, just this week, I'm in Dubai and we had crypto week. So there's a whole vibe of money and money energy, and I didn't deal my finances very well, to be honest, in the past. I've been also growing up in a family where money mindset and handling money wasn't the most important thing, let me call it that way. So I was grown up in an environment where we didn't think about building wealth, talking about money properly, budgeting, educating and learning about finances, different finance markets, not even stock markets. That was that's for the rich, right? So that's the environment and mindset I grew up on. And therefore I was paying a lot of money to learn, being in debt, tax problems, like all of this. And I did some work on money mindset for myself, and I took the decision to create wealth and build wealth. So that means I also need to take on the responsibility for learning this and changing. So instead of blaming where I am and how I wasted a lot of money, I forgave myself that it was needed in order to understand that I need to do things differently. Yeah, but forgiving myself about really wasting a lot of money, that was a big thing. What's one thing about yourself you're still learning to understand? Who I am in this human being? What's my contribution to the world? Like, what is my unique superpower? Why I'm here on this earth in order to contribute? And how do I use my gifts even better? I think that's like, it's not even one thing. It's like 3 things. But it all comes down to understanding myself even better every day and how to apply it for myself and for others. That's the best question to end with. To be honest, that's the most beautiful question we had this day. Thank you. That's been such an awesome, inspirational conversation with myself. I'm curious to watch it myself. If you are curious to watch the full episode, just comment Bond so we can share the link with you. Take care.